You are now entering a dangerous liberty zone where God-given natural rights are held sacred and exercised. This is your warning. Tyranny, fascism, and censorship will not be tolerated. Ideas will be exchanged freely. Rigorous debate and open discourse is encouraged. If you are weak and your beliefs are fragile, you should leave now. Prepare yourself. We are now live on the Dangerous Liberty Podcast. Happy Wednesday, everybody. How's everybody doing out there? Welcome to another Dangerous Liberty Podcast, where we know the only thing more dangerous than liberty is the lack thereof. Happy Wednesday. What's going on? We got UFOs out there. That may be the only one. We may be. Everybody's gone today.
I got
Maybe
one.
Just us.
I got one on Rumble.
We got one on Rumble.
A Will Rhett on Rumble. What's up, boy?
Summer, how was your week?
It was good.
Yeah. Well, anything else? Anything else you want to add to it?
It's just
Chris,
the
how was your
usual.
week?
I'm doing well, sir.
Good, man. Chris, good to have you back.
Thank you. I was gonna say we have probably another watcher. I'm sure Robin's got it on at home.
She probably doesn't.
And Remington's there watching, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. So, Chris was out. His wife technically had a very healthy baby girl. Let's talk to her. Talk to us about.
I did all the work, obviously.
True.
For the real
Robin's
work.
gonna kill you when you get home.
I mean,
I'm gonna take the long way home.
She
the
just
side
laid
to
there.
side. Yeah, I mean, she labored for a while, so I will give her that. She was a trooper through that, but she pushed for about 3.5 hours, and we had a beautiful Miranda Rose.
oh, awesome, man.
So she's doing well. Mama's doing well. She's not letting us sleep yet. She's born on the 10th, so she's only like 12 days old so far.
Oh, yeah.
How much does she weigh?
7 pounds, 11 ounces, 7'11".
Woo! I know another amazing baby that weighed 7 pounds 11 ounces exactly. That's right. That's right.
You're a small baby.
I was small, but I
I
grew up
was a
big.
huge baby.
I grew up big. I got bigger.
It's weird because he was 2 pounds smaller than me at birth, but look at us now.
Yeah, look at that.
I was 9 pounds 11 ounces at birth.
It'd be weird if it was flip flopped. So I mean, just saying.
Be one of those relationships where she weighs twice what I do.
Yeah, she'd be
Yeah.
throwing you around all the time.
That happens.
I mean, we are in the right state for that.
All right, folks. It really doesn't matter how many people show up tonight, but we're gonna
Nah.
talking about. We got a lot to cover, and I think it's actually a very important topic.
I think the title of the podcast has made it where YouTube and Facebook is not allowed.
Oh, you know what?
Show up.
I mean, it's possible. The other thing, again, we have the Republican debates tonight. They're also having a live event taking place with the actual Trump indictments when the arraignment. So
Gotcha.
There's a lot of different things that are vying for eyeballs right now. So it is what it is, but that's okay. This is going to remain in perpetuity, so it'll be a discussion.
This is the most important to put your eyeballs on.
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna say.
Absolutely. Well, folks, one thing, whether you are first time watching this or watching this right now or in the future, make sure you guys like, share. Also, sign up to our newsletter on Substack. All you got to do is go to Substack Paramount Tactical. Just Google that, and you will see. And that newsletter is pretty important because there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that we send out information-wise, deals and gear and other things that we can't advertise on all the social media platforms. We also may just be having, I know Jeff Hahn's on here tonight. We also, and I've had this happen before, where there's either a lag or just not showing the correct number of people watching, but it really doesn't matter. So anyways, we have a lot to cover tonight when it comes to the Trump indictment. So first of all, I just want to get people's thoughts on this. And, regardless of your political ideology or whatever else, I'd like to hear from people in the comments. And again, even if you're watching this not live in the future, please put your comments or what you think down in those comments. But number one, is there any legitimacy to any of these charges? First of all, number two, do we think that Trump is going to end up in jail? That's another one of my questions. the other the real big question about all this is where does this take America into the future? How is this changing the political landscape forever? Because I will say, I think starting at the Obama administration, we have a political landscape that has completely changed, without a doubt. So
I just have a statement to
Yeah.
make where, you know, when you mention, is this going to put Trump in jail? I think that would just electrify the right into, even if they couldn't elect Trump,
Mhm.
to make sure they go out and vote for whoever it is on the right
Sure.
and support and really get behind, because they're just going to be so angry about the fact that this was done to Trump.
I 100% agree with that. I don't know what that means or what that leads to, but I do think that we have. I think the entire Trump presidency took away any veil of any sort of independence in our government as far as political independence or objectivity. I think we now see that we have the DOJ. It is highly, even, I don't care who's running it. You know, we can have a very strong conservative run in the DOJ or these other agencies. But the fact of the matter is they've been so infiltrated with leftist political ideologues that I don't think who runs that, or even who runs the executive branch anymore, really matters to a huge extent, because we have a bureaucratic class that are completely political, and they are completely running things under it all, and they're able to block all other actions that are trying to get done.
And you said during the Trump presidency, I mean, you probably meant this to include even the time since. I mean, they just won't leave the man alone.
Oh yeah.
And I think honestly, if they would have just let him fade off, or left him alone, it would have, some of the support that's even there for him now may have faded off with it. But
yeah, agreed.
But
well,
people are so
Trump
angry.
wasn't going to fade out.
Well, sure,
and
I agree with that fact.
But they didn't have to put fuel in the fire.
But
either.
I'm just saying they added to his
Mystique.
power. And
it's just spraying lighter fluid on it. It's
Yeah.
starting to dim down. Oh,
You know,
people might have been like, oh, he had his time, he's done, you know, he's over, blah blah blah, move on. But like I said, and I think electrified is a good word. It may sound cheesy, but they have really made people feel like, man, look at what they're doing to him. They just won't freaking leave him alone. I'm gonna go freaking support this man because I just disagree so wholeheartedly with what they're doing to him.
Yeah, and
I think they shot themselves in the foot, honestly.
I don't know. I'm a little bit mixed on that, because I do think so. What I think energized the base was the fact that most conservatives and almost any fair-minded individual out there is pretty convinced that we had wholesale election fraud in this country.
Yeah.
I know I am. I'm convinced that, you know, the election was absolutely stolen. And, you know, I think the reality is that election fraud is very easy to pull off in this country because we have nothing to safeguard our election, and it's very difficult. And because of that, it is very difficult to prove.
Well, that triggers. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, that triggers another thought of, you know, now more than ever before, are more people realizing that our elections are not safe, they're not fair.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe the left has figured out, oh, we may have effed up a little bit, because now we've revealed our hand that there's been so many elections that have not been fair, have not been correct, that we have to really go after this man and say, oh, what you're saying is crazy. We're indicting you over inciting all this stuff, over trying to saying we stole the election, to try to play off the fact that they really did steal the election, and this has been going on for decades.
Yeah, no, I think they are definitely trying to cover some of that up.
Yeah.
You know, the faux outrage that they have with, how dare you say that, you know, the election was stolen? How dare, you know, and then they paint everybody as this you know, a conspiracy theorist that would dare to say that, when every time that the Democrats have lost an election, they've done the exact same thing. But now that Trump's in office, suddenly those words and actions are somehow illegal and need to be prosecuted. Whereas when they do it, it's absolutely okay. It's valid. It's a valid concern.
Of course.
And that's the way it is. And we see that's exactly what's taking place too, because today there was a report today in the news where the Biden administration, they just welded open portions of the border wall. So they have
welded open.
They have made sure that it is permanently
Open.
There are holes that are permanently set in the border wall so illegal immigrants can get
Well, at
through
least they're
this.
safe to get through there now.
At least
They
they're
won't
safe to
fall
get through.
going over.
But I mean, this goes back
have to waste time digging under.
100%. But this goes back to the fact that this is what this administration and the left's strategy is to overwhelm this country with illegal immigrants to vote the way that they want them to vote, and through voter fraud. I think there's no way, because they know that look, the reality is the media has done a good job convincing us that so many of these whacked out ideas are mainstream, and they are not. They have normalized absolute insanity, and they want you to believe this so that when an election goes against the real numbers, nobody's voting for that. Well, so they need to convince you that you're the minority when you are far and away part of the majority. But that's the only way. It's prepping an objective prior to committing the fraud, and that's what they're doing, and that's what they're always doing. They're always strategic. They're always putting in these different strategies in place to make sure that step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, they all build upon each other, and it all works out in their favor, and they have some credibility and or deniability when these things go through. And the Republicans are just so far behind the times, and they just lack any ability to do that.
Yeah, no, the left has always been good at a long-term plan and a multifaceted long-term plan.
Absolutely.
Because I do see what you're saying, where, hey, the majority of people don't believe in a lot of these crazy ideas that they're trying to make normal or make seem normal, or that the majority believes. But by that same token, I think they're also doing a really good job right now of mainstreaming those ideas, not just making it seem like they're mainstream. They're making them accepted. They're making people believe it, because you can go out into society, you can go into the local schools, and you find people that actually believe it. So
yeah,
I think there's some of both.
They're doing, I mean, they're not completely getting away from the attempt to indoctrinate.
Yeah.
I mean, they're again, it's a multifaceted strategy and plan that they're doing a great job executing, and we're just falling behind. And if we expect to own this country, or let me rephrase that, if we expect to recognize this country in 10 or 15 years, there has to be some major changes, some extreme changes. And I'll be honest, I don't know how those are going to come about, to be honest with you. I don't know. Yeah, I have a hard time seeing how that's going to change for the better. And I have a hard time believing that within the next 10 years we're not going to end up in a civil war.
No, that's a strong words.
I mean, I know I do. I mean, we now have such a militarized and corrupt federal government that are going after so many different people and so many different aspects. We see FFLs getting canceled left and right.
Well,
like we've never seen before.
Go back a step and say, and broaden my horizon on militarized government.
I'll rephrase that: weaponized government.
Okay.
So we have agencies that have definitely been weaponized against the American people, against people that they're attacking political dissent.
Okay, I'm with you much more now.
Everything from the IRS to the ATF to you name it. We're seeing the federal government be a political attack dog for the left like we have never seen in the past. And this is literally what we're seeing is very reminiscent of everything from, Germany in the 40s to the Bolsheviks to, communist China now. And it's crazy to think that this would ever happen in our country. It's crazy, even as I sit here, to some extent, I'm self-censoring, right? I'm sitting there being careful about what I say. Isn't that nuts? and I don't care about, and I'm not doing that based on, what YouTube may or may not do. I'm literally, and I think all of us, for the first time in the last couple of years, are careful about how we communicate, even on our own phones and things like that. We know that the government is watching,
And
we know that they will come after you.
Yeah. I was about to say that there could be ramifications in one way or another, where all of a sudden you get audited by the IRS, or all of a sudden, something crazy just comes up out of the blue.
Well, going on the IRS, it was wild a couple months ago. I cruise USA Jobs 3 to 4 times a week. You know what I mean? Just see what's out there. But I was on there one day, and of course, IRS is right here in Carneysville. There was like 25 jobs for tax enforcement agents.
Yeah, because they approved like 87,000 new positions.
Getting paid $42 a year.
Oh, it'll be more than that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you get paid based on what you can recover and stuff like that. But I was just looking at that. It's like 40. I forget what it was, GS5 or something. I'm like,
and that's what those. I mean,
no, thank you.
There's
but
nobody. Look, they're going to end up having to go through. They're going to end up having to go through. Fleta. What's the place down in Georgia?
Federal Law Enforcement Training Center.
Yeah, I know, but FLETC. Yeah, FLETC. No, let's not. FLETC down in Georgia.
FLETC sounds right. Yeah.
Anyways, but the point is that there's nobody in the federal government that's carrying a gun and a badge that's only making 40-something grand.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I was like,
again, within a couple of years, they're making close to 100 G's.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Until they're certified and passed. And
Yeah,
all that
maybe
and
that's their
everything.
starting.
But that just blew my mind. I just scanned right over that one.
Yeah, but it's a shame that we're talking about this and having to talk about and have these discussions in the United States, man. This is not what veterans, this is not what I fought for. This is not what the people out there that have fought and died for this country for, so that we can be fearful of the political speech, of our own political speech, and what could possibly be done against us because we have certain beliefs. It's absolutely insane. Let's see. Roger Corral says the hypocrisy is their energy. The leftists don't care. They're winning and double down every time they are caught. Once we lose what is left of the justice system to the left, wrap it up with a bow. Every federal agency, to include education, Amtrak, have SWAT teams, 8 new divisions of IRS folks, FLETC. Exactly. So, that's exactly what we're seeing up and down. And there's what we see, and then there's so much going on behind the scenes that, quite frankly, we're not seeing.
I heard something too about that the other day.
What's that?
Why is there so many Dollar Generals being built? Did y'all read about that?
You are all about some conspiracy theories.
You didn't hear about that?
No, please.
So I read it on Facebook.
Oh, it must be true.
It's got to be true. But the reason so many Dollar Generals are being built and so like spontaneous and pretty compact areas in where they're at is that's going to be the FEMA concentration camps.
Oh yeah, I think we talked about this on.
So just get ready. So if you live close to a Dollar General, you know which one you're going to when FEMA comes and rounds everybody up.
So I mean, is that like a documented plan that FEMA has?
I mean, that's what everybody's saying.
Well, it must
at
be
FEMA
true.
or on Facebook.
I mean, I read it on Facebook. I wouldn't know about FEMA or not.
Because if it's on the local Berkeley County, what's going on?
It is. It's in what's going on in Berkeley County.
Well, then
there's legit people that knows what's going on that site.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about.
That's why they're building the new one in Glengarry.
Let's go through these 4 different indictments and multiple charges. So the first one that we're going to, and by the way, folks, all of this, I pretty much pulled off Politico, which I think is funny because and we'll talk a little bit about that. But I will say that Politico had the most concise documentation on this, where I could go through there, kind of pull off all the information that I needed, and it kind of went through there. So they had a good site that was easy to sort through and to get the information that I wanted. Now, as far as the way that they report on this, I think is pretty funny. So the first indictment was in Washington, D.C. We had the January 6th insurrection case. The charges, Trump has been charged with 4 crimes in the investigation. 2 relate to the disruption of Congress certification of the electoral vote on January 6th. 1 alleges a scheme to defraud the United States through a sustained effort to impede collection, counting, and certification of votes in the 2020 election. The 4th charge accuses Trump of conspiracy to deprive citizens of a right secured under federal law, specifically the right to vote and to have their votes counted. So that's 2 felony counts of obstructing an official proceeding, 1 felony count conspiracy to defraud the United States, and 1 felony count of conspiracy against rights under 18 USC 241.
But then that goes back to him. That should be his right to say, well, I feel like I won and the results are not
So his
correct.
First Amendment rights.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Mhm.
You can say what you want.
Well, so
You can, Gary.
things do get a little dicey as a government official on what
Sure.
you can and can't say.
No, I mean,
and and I'm not going to pretend that I know the difference between what they can and can't say regarding that and where their First Amendment right kicks in and when that doesn't, because obviously we have other things, we have other laws from campaigning and things like that from a official standpoint. But what I do think is funny is how Politico runs into this. Says in the 2 months between election day on 2020 and January 6, 2021, Trump mounted a wide-ranging campaign to subvert Joe Biden's victory in presidential election. Trump and his advisors spread false information about voter fraud, urged Republican state officials to undermine the results in states that Biden won. That's just one of many examples.
There's definitely a spin to that.
It definitely says in here, it talks about the strengths and weaknesses of these cases. Trump's efforts, here's the strengths of the case. Trump's effort to subvert the election were extensive, well documented, and largely in public view. He and his allies spread lies about voter fraud and stoked the protests that led to the January 6th
But
election.
are they lies if you truly believe that's what's gone on?
Well, and that's ultimately what this case is going to hinge on, what he actually believed, because there's a lot of folks saying there were people around him that told him this wasn't true. Well, that doesn't mean anything. There's people around me that tell me things aren't true all the
I
time.
tell you stuff's true and not true all the time, and you don't believe me.
And I can tell you right now,
Seriously.
your arguments are not persuasive.
Exactly.
So, ultimately, a judge and jury on that particular case is going to end up having to decide what is in Trump's heart. Did he actually believe that, or was he committing fraud in some way? And I have a hard time figuring out how they're going to determine that. But with that being said,
What a waste of money.
It is going to be a trial held in Washington, D.C.
So,
and I just can't see him being able to get a fair trial in Washington, D.C.
From a jury pool there? No.
Yeah, it's absolutely
There's no way.
Absolutely ridiculous.
There's no way.
Can he file for mistrial if he feels that way?
Ultimately they can.
I mean, well, could I guess.
He can definitely appeal.
So he needs to have like a trial in like West Virginia or something.
I don't know.
Then they'd say, the jury pool there.
Here we go.
So funny enough, they actually tried to do that. They actually tried to have that held in that particular trial held in West Virginia. And then the judge denied the motion.
Like down Charleston or something.
I don't know where, but
Yeah.
I know it was supposed to be in West Virginia, but the judge denied the
I
motion.
do remember the
It'd be
judge
cool if it was like
denying that
Charlestown,
motion.
the old courthouse or something.
The judge that's overseeing that too just so happens to be the main judge. She's a female judge that is well known, that is kind of infamous for being extremely harsh on the January 6th protesters as
Of
well.
course.
It's from Hornman.
Yeah. So, take that for what
That's
it's
interesting.
worth. Ultimately, I think no matter what, is regardless if Trump is convicted on any of these charges, it's all going to end up at the Supreme Court. And that's where these are ultimately going to be decided.
I mean, isn't it going to be laughable at Supreme Court for most of this?
I would like to think so.
You don't think? I mean, I just think in my little world over here in the valley that they're wasting all this money and time on even what's his face on Rumble said he was getting charged. One Georgia charge is Trump basically said, I'm going to win the election. And that was like their conspiracy charge on that. I just think it's this huge and utter waste of freaking time and money.
Well, that's what the government does.
On
They
the
waste
little,
time and money.
I believe me, I know.
I'm just saying.
But
the
pick out 6 out of the 91.
To me, the biggest crazy, the biggest thing that's absolutely nuts about all this is that you can take any one of these things and you can absolutely see where a Democratic candidate has done the exact same thing in every single every single instance. Look at Stacey Abrams. She's still saying that
She
she
still
is
won
now
the 2020.
she's still the governor of Georgia.
Yeah,
Mhm.
why isn't she getting charged in Georgia?
Got a president.
Fulton
And
County prosecutor.
there was a whole lot of other things, shady things that she attempted during that whole thing that for some reason she's not getting charged with.
Oh, Fannie Willis down in Georgia won't charge.
Oh, Fannie Willis.
I saw the prosecutor's name.
I mean,
was like, Jesus.
just like UFOs just said on Rumble. I mean, this is just literally a defamation, slander, scam, whatever you want to call it, leading up to the election. Correct?
Well, part of me also wonders if they, number one, want him to spend so much time and money defending himself in all these cases that he's completely distracted from the election, and he's putting so many of his resources financially and otherwise.
I think they're considering all of that.
Yeah.
I think they are, but I think he has a little more unlimited resources than people think too.
Well, he definitely has. He definitely has a lot.
resources, but
And on top of that, well, there's always going to be lawyers that are going to defend him, almost pro bono,
Oh,
just
absolutely.
for the
Get the picture with him, get him on the news,
100%,
yeah,
and hopefully, ultimately, get him proven not guilty.
Yeah.
So
and have your name in the books forever.
So he has plenty of money. I also think that's contributions can be put toward his legal defense as well.
Mhm.
So that's not an issue. But I do think
I think it's a slander campaign.
Well, they're trying to do a couple things. Number one, they're hoping that they can they're trying to see what sticks. They're throwing everything at him as possible. It is going to distract him. There will be some
Let's go distract the
number
American
of voters, potential voters,
Yes.
that will
consider it messy and don't want to.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're like, you know what, I
I'm
just want to
staying
go.
away.
But probably the most important thing that it does is that it's going to give fuel to the left to say you're going to vote for someone that's convicted of X, Y. They already do that now with the impeachments. They're like, he's been twice impeached and blah blah blah. Like, well, he wasn't convicted of anything.
Weren't papers to impeach Biden just filed last week?
I
heard it, but I didn't see anything.
I heard something along those lines. I don't know if it ever came to fruition. Because again, we have weak ass Republicans in our Congress, they absolutely suck.
I just Googled it because I didn't know who was in second place as the Republican nominee, but it says Ron DeSantis, and I've never heard of this guy, Vivek Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy, yep.
They said they're dead nuts tied right now in second.
I like Vivek Ramaswamy
it's going to pull stuff from Trump and send it to these two guys, and that's what's going to happen as well. You know what I mean?
So the thing is, they're like both like 40 points behind him.
Oh no, he was at 56 and they're both at 10. So 46 points. So yeah.
So I think ultimately all they've done is ensure that Trump is the Republican nominee.
Roger made a good point. He says he believes that's why they started indicting some of his lawyers so they could scare them away from working
100%.
with them, defending them, all that stuff.
So when we're talking about nominees, and we can get back on Trump in a second, is Biden going to be the number one runner?
I have a hard time
because he looked rough and Maui.
I have a hard time believing that.
I do too. That's why
I really do think they're going to come up with some Hail Mary.
Are they just are they going to push Camilla to the front?
That's why they're coming out with all the Biden family crime stuff. That's why all that stuff's coming out right now, is because they want a reason to.
They just want to wash him and then have.
I don't know that that's true. Number one, we're still seeing interference ran by all the DOJ. The other thing too is I think the only reason that we're seeing this come forward is like CNN or MSNBC or any of these other ones that are starting to report on this thing. Like, they're going to have no credibility if they don't report on it. And the other thing too is for
That's
instance,
never worried them in the past.
100%, 100%. The other thing, I think people like Anderson Cooper, for instance, or what's the other guy, Chuck, another leftist reporter, I can't think of right now. Anyways,
Roseanne.
I think those folks, some of those folks are as concerned. They equally hold in value their personal credibility, their personal brand, as well as their political affiliation.
That's
right?
what you're saying.
So you're saying they're kind of stepping outside the CNN box and doing it to preserve their professional career
and be relevant
and be relevant and there may be some sincerity too at some point where it's like genuine, like, whoa, you know, this is actually Chuck Todd. Chuck Todd, who I was talking about. Chuck Todd the other day came out and said, hey, look, you know what? Trump was right. When he talked about it, he kept playing back the back and forth between Joe Biden and him during the election debate, where, you know, Trump was like, hey, your family's getting millions of dollars from China, from Ukraine, from this. He's like, that is a lie. That has been proven wrong. We have 3,000 million freaking intel officials that have said that that is not true. And he's like, hey, look, and then he played that and he's like, hey, look, Trump was right. You know, Trump was right. So I do think there's a little bit of self-preservation. And again, maybe even a little bit, okay, it's like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe even it's they're not going to start supporting Trump, obviously, but at some point they're like, all right, these people are genuinely
I don't
corrupt.
know.
I
think those guys, I think a lot of these people, again, their politics is a religion. So they're willing to keep their head in the sand and be in denial until they can't anymore.
And then breathe.
And then
Yeah,
the tiny bit
exactly.
of a little bit of integrity that they have left, or just, I don't know.
Exactly. They're willing to bury their heads in the sand. And so I find the timing awfully convenient.
Yeah, but we're still not seeing everybody get behind that full force. It's not like
you're right.
But we're hearing about it more than we ever have before.
I just think at this point it's because more has come out because of the House Republicans. You may be absolutely right.
I think there's always a strategy there.
I just think it's we've gotten to a point where it's
into strategy
undeniable.
Oh,
I think it's just undeniable that they will lose all credibility, and I think that the networks don't care.
But my point is they've never worried about losing all credibility before, because even when things have come out about the stolen election or election fraud, they deny, and bury the story, and they still have never put any of that out or put it at the forefront, or they just called it lies and called it stupid and called it conspiracies. So I find that this one thing that this finally kind of coming out, I find that suspect.
See, I disagree. I think there's a few people out there, again, Chuck Todd, Anderson Cooper, a couple more, that tend to finally relent before anyone else and admit something. And it hasn't been on just the story. It's been on everything from COVID to some of these other things where it's like they're kind of like that one voice in the wilderness that's actually saying something. And again, it's after a long, unsustainable point of denial, but they at least will come around and admit something, whereas the rest of the network and the rest of the freaking, you know, lemmings that are in front of the video camera, they never will. So I think it happens to be more about self-preservation than anything else.
I can never, and she may have, but I can never imagine. I don't even know if she's still in the air, but Rachel Maddow. I can never imagine her admitting that freaking the Bidens did something wrong.
She won't.
So something's definitely going with YouTube, by the way. I just hopped over to YouTube. We actually have 27 people watching.
Yeah.
And
according to our counter, folks, we have one.
I have a whole list.
And
so
we have Jackson, scroll down on the
have
comments.
one person commenting.
We only have Roger.
We only have one person commenting.
I think YouTube has done this on purpose.
And I don't, and what's weird is I don't have a single Roger Krause comment. Oh, he's on Facebook.
He's on Facebook.
That's okay. Well, YouTube has like blocked it because I have a whole.
Yeah, none of our YouTube comments.
We're not seeing any comments
coming up. That's really weird.
YouTube is
not a single friggin' one.
It shows us live streaming to YouTube.
Keep us updated on that.
There's all kinds of stuff on
so
here.
Chris, hit those. Sorry, folks, we had no comments coming up on
they're probably
the big screen with YouTube.
My
I'm gonna
go back through.
I'm gonna holler at Jason Sponsler, Willie Everett, Mike Han, Chris Bishop, Lloyd Castleman. We keep going through here. Joshua Zartman, Kauto01, Jason
Ciotto,
Kavgazov,
Kauto,
old Sherry. I'm not even gonna pronounce it. Sherry from Florida. We got Kyle Huffman in here.
That's Sherry Hahn.
Yes, Sherry Hahn. Okay, good, because I couldn't pronounce that middle name there. Dale Kramer.
That's Jeff Hahn's wife.
I figured that one out. He's context clues. John Esmond. I think we got everything in here.
This is the brain.
And then Skids 1818.
Yep. Oh, Skids. What's up, Brandon? How you doing, buddy?
And then Justin Good to see you all. Sorry we're not getting one here. We can't see them. I just glad I hopped over on YouTube real quick to look.
They're probably like, why are they ignoring us tonight?
Yeah, so I mean, we're doing awesome on Rumble too, because we got 22 on Rumble and 25 on the YouTube.
Good.
And then Uno on the book.
I was starting to get a little worried. I'm like, man,
That's
this is the worst viewership ever.
That's why I was like, man, I'm just better looking. I tried to like it, and I was like, it's not doing anything. So YouTube or something's not linking up on your. I think you just need to buy a new computer.
Jeff Hahn just sent me a screenshot of all the. Hey, sorry, folks.
Need
No,
a desktop, Gary.
No, it
Shut
has
up,
nothing to do
Chris.
with the desktop.
Yeah, it might.
It might
not running fast.
You know,
Shut up.
I probably need to at least upgrade it to just rule that out.
You should do that.
Yeah.
Robin,
Yeah.
get your man.
You should do that.
Get your man, Robin.
Luckily,
Do that.
when I built that desktop, it was like $400. So
Just like the $400 camera.
So like a $400 or $500 upgrade is nothing crazy at all.
no, like I think we're now like 2 processors,
Yeah.
Old.
So I mean, and you can write that off.
and then
You
I'm
can write that
probably
off.
Oh,
at
you
least
got it off for
two,
free.
It's for the business.
new graphic cards. I need
All
to
right,
upgrade.
back on track, guys.
2. Yeah. What I want to do.
We're on track.
I want to
Don't
do
try to
a.
detrack us.
We want to do a mineral oil filled one too. So
No,
it
I
keeps
don't
it
want to
cooler.
do that. That's just gonna be a pain in the ass.
That'd be sweet though.
No,
And then
hell
put a
with
couple
that.
fake fish in there.
That's a real thing.
I know.
All right. So we kind of
I'll
covered.
start shopping for you.
We kind of covered the Washington D.C. Let's talk about the Georgia election
I'm
interference case.
So disappointed in my home state.
Oh no, there was something I wanted to go back to this. So first of all, the prosecuting attorney in Washington D.C. is named Jack Smith. Folks, if you don't know who this asshat is, you need to do some research on him. And what's crazy is you should see his just political discourse as he's talking about the case on. I follow him on Twitter just to see what he's saying. I don't know how any of that stuff isn't going to be used against him. It's just.
So he's talking about the case on Twitter.
100%. Like I'm gonna like he's like I'm going after this guy. I'm like it is you. When I first saw it, I thought it was a joke. Like that, it's not actually. It's him, and it's like I'm gonna bury this guy. I'm gonna do that. Like it is absolutely insane that those words will not be held against him.
Wow.
Yeah. Jackson, you working those different camera angles? You've been doing a good job with that. Appreciate that, bud.
We got Jackson manning the computer today.
So if you haven't checked out that, I think that's worth checking out. Go check out Jack Smith on Twitter. I think you'll be appalled that he is presenting himself as some sort of objective, actor, state actor, because he is not. He is a political activist through and through. As far as the Georgia election interference case, again, this is Politico's spin of how they start this out. Trump's effort to overturn his loss in the 2020 election were perhaps most aggressive in the state of Georgia. Multiple counts confirmed that President Joe Biden narrowly prevailed in the race for the state's 16 electoral votes, but Trump and his allies spread lies about voter fraud, urged Georgia officials and state lawmakers to reverse Biden's win, and plotted to send fake electors to Washington.
Sheesh.
Trump was told Brad Raffensperger and urged him to find 11,780 votes. That's not what happens. If you have followed that case at all, that's completely out of context. Anyways, the indictments accuse 19 named defendants of criminal wrongdoing and contains a total of 41 state law felony charges. 13 of those felonies are leveled against Trump. The most serious is an alleged violation of the state's Racketeer Influence and Corruption Organization Act, otherwise known as RICO. So,
Uncle Rico.
I'm sure. As we go along here, I bet Politico is going to fill us in on that. I don't think they do, actually. That law allows prosecutors to package together disparate crimes if those crimes advance a single corrupt enterprise. So,
they should put that on the Bidens. RICO.
So we have 1 count of violating RICO, 3 counts of solicitation and violation of oath by a public officer, 1 count of conspiracy to commit impersonating the public officer, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit forgery in the first degree, 2 counts of false statements and writings, 2 counts of conspiracy to commit false statements and writings, 2 counts. Oh, conspiracy. So we have false statements and writings, and then the conspiracy to commit false statements and writings. 1 count filing false documents, 1 count conspiracy to commit filing false documents. So those are only the ones that Trump is being charged with.
Sheesh.
Let's talk about their assessment, the strengths and the weaknesses of this case. Trump's effort to undo the Georgia results were based on blatant falsehoods and were largely conducted out in the open. His phone call to Rasperger was recorded. 8 Republican activists who falsely claimed to be the state's presidential electors for Trump have taken immunity deals and have agreed to cooperate with Willis. A weakness of the case, a local prosecutor charging a former president with election interference is unprecedented in American history, which most things are when it comes to Trump. Trump might argue that his statements about the Georgia results are protected by the First Amendment. I think all Americans would. So there's that.
I mean, they did haul in those suitcases of votes in the middle of the night.
Yeah, you know, folks, I just wish we could get someone to take voter fraud and the investigation thereof seriously. I think there is actually going to be an announcement. I think this upcoming Monday that Trump is going to be announcing some of the investigation that he and his lawyers have done. I believe it's this upcoming Monday. I'm curious to see what they've actually uncovered.
Well, they'll
it might have been last
say it's
Monday.
all lies and conspiracy.
Well, of course, but I'd like to see because they're going to be presenting this, and that one of the reasons they had that investigation so that they could present that evidence in court for this case and DC. I'm curious as to what evidence they will have that will compel the jury to side with them on that. And I think honestly, that is if you can prove that, which there already has been proven that there is at least some election fraud. The question is whether or not it was enough to change the outcome of the election. But once you prove that there was a significant amount of election fraud, especially in Georgia, because I think it was only 12,000 votes or something like that
in the beginning. Yeah.
So I mean, way less than 1%.
And being from Georgia, I can tell you, like, the whole state of Georgia is PO'd that Atlanta changes the whole state as far as
Hotlanta.
Yep, as far as voting goes, because they're a very conservative state.
Sure.
It's just that large major city
Sounds like Virginia.
where all the idiots are.
Yeah.
That changes the whole state.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to go to the Rumble real quick while we have a little break here. UFO for the hose, throwing out conspiracy theory because this is what they want. They want Michael Obama and Gavin Newsom VP. That's the Democrats' plan.
So that is a real thing.
Yeah.
Let me back that up. That is a real concern.
Michael Obama. I've been saying it forever.
I think if you that portion of that statement aside, if Michelle Obama, in some circles known as Michael,
we just got blocked.
In which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. If he or she wants to go by Michael or Michelle,
yeah, I mean, it's their own name.
I mean, why would you even say that's slander? That's actually a compliment to today's society.
Yeah, you're right.
So
she wouldn't do as well in men's sports. I'm just saying. The other way around, it might be better.
I will say, if you are a Republican, you should genuinely fear Michelle Obama jumping in.
Yeah.
Because I think she'll win.
Yep.
Folks, we have
Agreed.
like we've seen many times and before, we were having a complete, we're seeing history rewritten. Now suddenly Obama is this great president, maybe the greatest president in the last whatever amongst some circles. And this includes Democrats, independents, and even some Republicans that are see the Obama presidency in a serious positive light. That is not how I see it at all. I see that was the beginning of the end. As far as that presidency is what has brought us to today. That was the first presidency that acted that number one accused everybody that disagreed with the man of racism. That was in 2008 when he was elected, was what has started a major decline in America when it comes to race relations, political discourse, division in America, and really, in my mind, the road to a genuine civil war. So one thing I do want to pull up that Jeff Hahn just sent me, and I have seen this show. It is very compelling. I would encourage you to watch it. If you haven't seen 3,000 Mules, right?
Yeah, we started watching. I think I fell asleep.
2,000 Mules. It's 2,000 Mules.
What is it?
3,000 Mules is the one that comes after. No, but
That's the one you
2,000
watch in your
Mules
own time.
is a seriously provides some seriously compelling evidence for more than enough voter fraud to change election results many times
And
over.
That's on the Daily Wire, guys.
Is
It was on the Daily Wire where we watched it.
what is it?
Yeah.
It's like a 30-minute or it's like an hour or what?
No, it's like movie length.
Oh, so it's like an hour and a half or something.
Yeah, it's a documentary by Dinesh D'Souza.
I think I fell asleep.
Bless you.
It was I found it riveting. And to see how it's being done and to see how little action is required to drastically increase the voter count in one direction was pretty compelling. And the evidence that they have for it was pretty I mean it's I was definitely impressed with the
Dinesh D'Souza is another guy that's been a victim of
the
weaponization of agencies.
I don't know who named him, but it bothers me.
Well, he's Indian, you racist. He is of
Pretty sure
Indian.
his parents named him
Muhammad then would have been a more appropriate name, as that's the most common name in the whole wide world.
In
Indian.
most Indians
in the world,
are Hindu. They're
in the
not
whole wide world.
they are not
Muhammad
Muslim.
is the most common name. That's what I'm saying. It'd be like in America, it'd be John.
Oh my
or something.
God.
Anyway, how long
We're
was
gonna do-
how long was he in jail? He was in jail quite
He
a
was
while.
he was in jail for quite a while.
Yeah.
I got something else to say for UFO for the Hose too, unless you want to read it.
No, go ahead, send it.
Um,
Jackson, when you're Googling stuff, we can't see what's going on there, bud.
yeah, but it's okay. No,
Jackson-
most common first name, not last name. So UFOs for the Host said, if you want a conspiracy theory, what if Hillary and Trump are just playing good cop, bad cop? All this is planned for a civil war to weaken the U.S. before invasion from foreign adversary.
No, I don't
like to think about that.
I don't buy that one at all. There is nothing.
No.
There is no chance.
I thought it was interesting to talk about.
As are many things. There is absolutely no chance that behind the scenes
that they like each other.
That Trump and Hillary behind the scenes
Or-
are coordinating with one another.
It's something I thought of a second ago.
Maybe
Is
it's one of the
Hillary
lost
Clinton?
emails.
Hillary Clinton is going to be so PO'd if Michelle Obama is the first. female
Oh man,
president.
wouldn't she?
Oh, she's going to.
But you know what
so
she'll
mad.
do? She'll still throw her arm around her though.
Oh yeah, yeah. She'll pretend like she
Oh,
always does.
She'd be up there right in her armpit,
She's
just
going to be
hanging out with her.
so angry behind the scenes,
Say
though.
what's up, boy.
I get
The
a genuine feeling, and
First man, lady president.
I don't know why I get this feeling, but I get a genuine feeling that the Clintons feel like the Obamas came along and stole some of their
Oh, 100%.
Oh, you know why?
Limelight.
limelight and power in the Democratic circle,
they just
and
didn't-
like
The Obamas completely overshadowed them.
yeah, I think there's probably some genuine hatred and resentment.
Look, here's the reality. You know, after Hillary was the first lady, she ended up she became a congresswoman in New York. Later on, she became Secretary of State. She went through the pipeline, right? She did
Mhm.
everything that she was supposed to do to be qualified as a person for the president of the United
And then
States.
here came Obama.
And just from a resume, very much so. And then you have Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama could throw her hat in the ring today, and she would freaking win.
Well, not to mention
Without doing a goddamn thing.
not to mention the
I mean,
minute
yeah,
that
you're not wrong.
Other than school lunches.
You're not
She has
wrong.
school
Yeah.
lunches to run on. And the kids
and
starved to
what she's
death.
wearing
Kids
and what
starved to
she's
death.
wearing, because that's
Oh,
all they
she was a
talked about.
fashionista. And then you got Hillary walking around in
And
a
I'll
damn
be honest,
pantsuit.
I mean, just objectively speaking, I don't get that. Like, her wardrobe was garbage,
It
in my opinion.
was.
Like, it was.
Gary, it's not your style. You're more,
Now look at Melania
utilitarian.
Trump's
women?
wardrobe. That's the wardrobe I want right there.
That's what I'm talking
That's a
about.
classy lady
Yeah,
wardrobe.
See, Robin, we want to be Melania.
Yeah.
Melania
Your name
was
is
a
Melania.
freaking star. She was
I wanna go
a
shop in her closet.
supermodel. That is how
All right,
every
temper it down, Gary.
freaking
First
first lady should
dress.
look.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Yep.
She is the template of what that should be.
I loved
just-
her inauguration
like-
It's a
outfit.
classy lady.
Yep.
It's all it is, classy
Jackie
lady.
Kennedy and her.
There
Yep.
you go. That's
Like-
a perfect example.
Those are the two that to me
Well,
stand out as first ladies.
Melania's inauguration outfit was a complete nod to Jackie Kennedy.
Who's that?
Like
Melania,
yeah, yeah.
inauguration
Oh, was it?
outfit. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Oh, no
gorgeous.
shit.
Looked just like something Jackie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Jackie
cool.
O would
then.
wear.
I didn't know that.
Or maybe they just both have great taste.
Maybe that. But going back to
And good husband presidents.
going back to what you said as
Easy,
far as
babe.
Hillary Clinton being in the pipeline, the minute she stepped up to try for the presidency, here comes Obama and came right in and took it all from her.
Well, and on top of
maybe.
that, you when after Obama did his second term, Obama was very hesitant to get behind Hillary too.
Yeah.
And I think the people really picked up on that.
He's not completely dumb.
Here's the thing too. At
That
the end
bitch
of the day, the fact of the matter is, I don't care who you come from, or where you come from. Hillary is completely unlikable. I mean, my God, she is just and folks, by the way, as someone that worked at the Department of State, that worked with her protection detail, everybody hated working for her.
I think this is
Everybody had
this
nothing
is the thing too.
positive to say about working with her. So it was insanity.
From my opinion, being the backwoods podunk boy, is for women out there that respect themselves. All the crap that came out about Bill Clinton, everybody knows it's true. Everybody knows it's true. Everybody knows it's true. And she didn't do anything to stand up. She just went,
well,
oh, honey, it's okay.
Hold
you
on.
didn't do anything wrong.
No,
those people lost respect for it. I guarantee it.
So I don't think
100% guarantee it.
I agree. People lost respect for her. I think you're missing as to why.
I don't.
People aren't saying, people don't for a second think that she was just a forgiving wife. People know that she stayed with him for political power.
No, obviously.
But that's what I'm saying. Like I think people would have a little bit of pity on her if like she was just like, you know what?
But I get what Chris is saying from a woman's point of view. Like the fact that you knew this man was this horrible man doing all this stuff, some of the things he's been accused of, like,
even if it's a third of women,
just didn't even say anything about it.
Didn't even acknowledge it. Didn't even say anything because you're just riding the coattails.
Number one, she doesn't care. Number two, I think a lot of them, I think she saw that as part of the that's not the analogy I wanted to use. I was going to use making.
I knew exactly.
that was part of making the sausage.
Right. That's exactly. I knew something about that.
That wasn't the.
It wasn't. That was part of the kitchen.
Yeah,
kitchen class.
But that's the reality. Is I think a lot of women realize, even those that they support her, there's a little bit of a little bit of resentment toward her because they know that's why she was with him. She didn't stick with him because she believed in the sanctity of marriage or the importance of marriage or any of those things.
But she just let women be used and abused and whatever.
100%.
And didn't speak out one thing about it.
Didn't even have a conference and be like, look,
let me tell you something.
She actually went behind the backs and threatened the women.
Oh, yeah, they did. And you know what? Let's be real.
She should have.
I don't think there's a person watching this. A fair-minded person watching this that has any sense of who Hillary is and what she would do and what she's capable of. I 100% believe that she would, if she could get away with it, she would have those women killed in a heartbeat.
100%. I believe that too.
Like she doesn't care about women or women's rights.
Nope.
She cares about Hillary
power.
Clinton and power. That's what she
her
cares
feet
about.
on the coattails. That's it.
What do we got? We got any other comments on YouTube?
I don't on YouTube. They're just saying that.
FYI, I got a text from one of our clients that YouTube is really slowing down the stream too.
Oh, I bet.
Really lagging. So
they said they must be leftist. That's what Skid said.
Yep. All right.
David Wilnius says he loves this live format.
Well, good.
I've never seen one here.
Yep. And
thanks for joining, Dave.
We really appreciate you joining.
Chris Bishop said YouTube slow.
Normally,
the screen.
Hey, Jackson, see if you can go up there and click on the icon that shows YouTube. I don't know if that will change anything. You are live. Nope. You know what? Go to view on YouTube.
Jason Kavgazov
said. So it's going to echo the voices though.
Jason, oh God.
Jason Kavgazov.
Go back to StreamYard.
Close that tab, son.
Just go back to StreamYard. But you can click back over to that. Don't close it. Actually.
Oh.
No, son. Don't close it.
You can go back to it.
Yep. You can click over there and we can actually read the comments there. Go ahead and continue. There you go. That way we'll be able to read the comments.
Just scroll down a little bit.
Scroll down. We don't care about what that says there. Don't hit play. We can click on the comments.
You're going to have to hit live to see the comments, though. It's a problem.
Okay.
Skip.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there's that Jason one I wanted you to read.
All right. What do you say?
Right there. Scroll.
Jason-
Quit moving around. Right there.
Cav Gazoff. In loving memory of the USA, 1776 2008, I worked State Department Security too. Gary, probably same contract. I wasn't working State Department Security, Jason. I was actually an instructor at the interim training facility out there. So when I was working BSAC and high threat, we actually trained in service. We did the in-service training for the secretary's security detail.
Look at that thumbnail.
So that's what that was from.
That's a good looking dude in that thumbnail.
What else? That is a good looking dude in the thumbnail.
I know. Then
And
there's
then-
you, Gary.
And then there's Trump.
Man.
All right. So the other case, and this one, I don't know. I wish I would have planned this out a little bit better and had Bill on, or another lawyer friend of ours or so. But we have the classified documents case there in the U.S. District Court of Southern Florida. We all know what's going on with that. Basically, again, this is Jack Smith again. He filed these charges. We have Trump is being charged with 37 felonies regarding those documents. This case, and again, I am not going to pretend that I know the legal anything behind this case. From what I understand, a president can unilaterally declare what is classified and what's not.
But only while they're president, right?
While they're president. But I mean, if you, I don't know if there's like a process they go through, any sort of declaration or paperwork they have to file with that, because again, if I decide, because if there isn't, if Trump or any president can sit there and say, you know what, just in my mind, these are now declassified, and I throw them in a bin somewhere, right? I just wanted to see you do that. I was hoping you'd bend over, be able to see your cleavage. Jesus Christ. Don't be teasing my little T-Rex.
All right, back on track, because I got a comment to make. You just talked to me.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
and say your
Summer.
comment.
Well, the reason I forgot the point I made now, but I wanted to point out that Politico says on at least 2 occasions. Oh, we're going back to when can they declassify documents? Only during the presidency, is the question. Because according to Politico, which we know how they're spinning this, but it says on at least 2 occasions, Trump showed classified documents to individuals who were not authorized to view them, prosecutors say. During one of the episodes, which was audio recorded allegedly, Trump allegedly displayed a top secret military plan of attack while telling visitors, as a president, I could have declassified it, but now I can't, adding that the document he was showing them was still a secret. So,
I don't know. I don't know the strengths or the merits of that case.
Right. I mean,
so I will say, out of all these other ones,
it sounds like they're digging awful deep.
it
I
does.
feel like this one's the most legitimate, though, out of all the indictments.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
they can prove that he had classified documents.
Yeah,
that
and
he
how
wasn't supposed to
how
have.
classified was it? You know what I mean?
well,
That's the other thing.
And
Because
then-
there's different.
but then we still have equal justice under the law, right? So I mean, we've had
Military
Biden-
plan of attack.
We've had Biden with documents all over the place. He never had declassification authority ever until he became president.
They're by his Corvette.
He,
almost
as a matter
lost
of
them.
fact, all those documents that were found, like those he should have never had physical control of those documents. He didn't have that authority, even as vice president, and definitely not as a senator. Again,
Right.
those documents have to stay within
Locked
certain
down.
facilities, right? So, and the problem is we don't even know what's there, what was missing. I mean, those documents have been in multiple different locations for years that there is no sort of control over it. We have no idea where they were with that. So, I mean, it's the fact that we're going to charge him, but not going to charge these other guys. Again,
Well, that's the way it always
we
works.
have a real problem when it comes to the equal protection of the law.
Look at that. What Jeff Hahn just said. Jeff Hahn just said it made it to Rumble. Facebook's hiding comments as well as YouTube.
Sweet.
So they got you red flagged as hell.
They do. It's funny,
Matches your
folks.
beard.
Somebody just sent us a comment the other day, or I think it was actually told us on the phone that they were already on they already liked our Facebook page, but they went to message us, and it said, "Are you sure you want to message?" Essentially, are you sure you want to message them? They have violated our community standards
Yeah.
multiple times.
They try to dissuade the customer from messaging us.
And if you
Really?
try to like or follow us on Facebook or Instagram, Meta, you suck, you fascist Fs.
Mark, you're cool though.
Yeah, Mark, you're cool. It will say the same thing. Are you sure you want to do this? It was like, hey, these guys are super violators.
We're
Definitely.
super violators.
I mean, we're cool peeps.
Yeah.
We're just here want to just have a talk about stuff.
Yeah, and you know what? If you
Chris, you're censoring
are
your
willing to
First
protect and
Amendment rights.
defend the Second Amendment, if you believe in God, if
We're
you
cool.
believe in the First Amendment,
have morals.
have morals, you are no friend
Have
of
morals.
YouTube
Shit.
or Facebook or any
GT
of these other social media
GTFO.
places.
GTFO. Just an update. We do actually have 27 on YouTube's and 33 on the Rumbles. So
Cool.
I love it that we have more on Rumble.
I do
I do
too
too.
because it's solid.
Yeah.
Well, and what's crazy again, folks, like we end up the views after always I think are super surprising when it comes to Rumble. We'll have 600 or 700 views on a show over on Rumble like a day or two later, which is
I have
crazy.
to be honest, when one person was the only person showing up for the first 30 minutes, I was like, everyone's abandoned us.
They've abandoned us.
I knew.
First time
I
ever.
knew better than that. That's why I was like, Rumble's
I-
coming in clutch.
I immediately thought it was like, oh, that's right. We announced Chris was coming back.
That's how I figured they're like, oh, this SOB.
As you called yourself earlier, what, the backwoods, whatever? Something?
Yeah, whatever you want to call me. I've been called worse, whatever somebody calls me.
I don't think there's anything wrong
Hey,
with being from the
can I-
backwoods.
He's
Can
my
I-
favorite spoon player.
I like a washboard better. I play a better one. But did you all hear about? I'm just going to throw this in there. Did you hear about?
This is what you've been doing all
I
night.
like how you go to the hush.
Did you
Tell
hear
them.
about the new variant?
The new variant?
In England.
I do.
No, it's
I
north
do
of
know that there is that we are supposed to have COVID 2.0 coming this winter. That's what I've heard.
I did hear about
it's
a
gonna be
college.
There are already people calling for
It's already gonna
masking again.
It's going to be earlier. There's
What?
already
Yeah.
people masking.
Some U.S.
Not
college
me.
or university
Not me.
put out a 2-week mask mandate.
Not
recently
happening.
again.
I just read an article that
GFYS.
Lionsgate in Hollywood, the biggest
Yeah.
studio in Hollywood,
Yeah.
they're doing a mask mandate because of the COVID outbreak there.
It
Well,
will never freaking happen
They better not
again.
call me because I'm not coming. Lionsgate.
Yeah,
I don't care.
Atlanta-based Morris Brown College, which is, I believe, is a
Atlanta.
historically black college, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, that also means a historically Democrat college.
It's true.
I mean,
Let's be
based on
honest.
demographics, yes, you would be
I
correct.
mean,
I could be wrong about that.
You could be correct on that. But no, multiple reports are COVID 2.0. And I'm going to be the first one to say it. I'm cool with it because I get to stay home from work.
Well, first of all, prior to this, we just outlined your 72-week paternity leave that you have planned.
Hey, work for the
It just-
federal
It
government.
just works out that
You
way.
know what I mean?
Jesus Christ.
Thanks, Office of Personnel Management.
Gary didn't even
Love
give me
y'all.
a week off when I had a baby, and I
Oh no,
I had the baby.
He could have had it, but he was like, you know what? I'm out.
yeah, he wouldn't even start lactating to help me.
No, I'm gonna be.
I love it. I love knowing that Chris is always in my corner.
No, I
Let me
can't
tell you
say. No,
something.
I
Every
can't say
time I
anything
hear
bad
a
about
bus
that.
coming by, I start feeling Chris's hands on my
No,
shoulders.
I can't say Summer. I can't say anything on that because when we had Remington, I was construction management then,
Yeah, you
and
didn't get
I
any
was
time
I
off.
was home for 7 days, and that was it. You know,
I think Gary, when we had Jackson, I think Gary got like a week off from his team.
Yeah.
and you probably had to take personal time anyway.
What's
I
that?
said, I didn't have any for my company. I didn't get paternity. I had to take my own PTO.
Oh, well, I
I
mean,
don't
we
think-
had leave, but
I don't
we
think he.
were only allowed leave at certain times. And that was like a new thing. That was like, I think I was like one
I
of the
think it was
first
like a
guys in the
big deal that
company.
you got to stay home for a week.
It was like the
Yeah.
first guys in the company that like, oh, dude, you got to stay home.
and then
a
when I
week?
had Noah, you didn't.
Boom.
like,
you didn't
like,
get
bro, you
anything.
better be at work the next day.
Yeah.
No, that's how it wasn't construction.
Like, we might let you go early
came
if
back
your
and, like-
wife is breaching it right at this
right,
moment.
like the head
Maybe.
better be showing.
Yeah,
You're like, all right, you
like,
can leave now. Well, how long
we
does it
got
take you to get
important announcements to make in the
there? Yeah, no, I get it.
CLB business.
But no, I get it.
CLB meeting.
Summer just make you feel better. My first job, I was home for a week, and that was it.
Oh, you didn't make
I
me
mean,
feel better,
was
Chris.
it
You already threw me under the bus.
Well, at least I drug you up for it, hit you.
All right.
Before the rear
The
two dually tires.
final case that we have in the criminal indictment against Trump is the hush money case in New York State. Trump is accused of falsifying business records in connection with a payoff to Stormy Daniels.
Stormy.
Who happens to be
Pornog.
Yeah, well, I was trying to come up with another name since
Since
Jackson's
Jackson's
back there.
right there.
Poor.
All you
All
had
right,
to pour.
just-
Nog.
Okay.
That's how you
Anyways,
say it
she
safely.
is a actress. We'll just say that. She may be going to Lionsgate this afternoon. She's gonna have to wear a mask. So we all know what was going on with
think she's
that,
from
right?
New
So there was some supposed hush money going on. Again, this has been going on since politics have begun, but Trump
Absolutely.
Trump is the first one to get prosecuted for this.
I was
This has no I think it has no credence whatsoever.
the dollar amount was awful low for my liking.
For your liking.
Yeah,
What
I was like,
were you getting commission?
I was gonna
were
just
you a
be like,
broker?
Just be like, that's all you're gonna give me? I ain't shutting up.
It was like 250,000.
It's
No,
a
it's
130.
130.
Yeah, that ain't nothing.
That ain't nothing. I didn't even
Jeez,
get me a nice ass Range Rover or nothing.
I mean, that's nothing compared to what
A nice
Hunter's
ass
getting
Bentley.
from
Oh my
Russian
god.
oligarchs.
Because he's such a good artist.
Spell oligarchs.
I can't spell oligarchs. OLIGARCHS. Oligarchs.
You missed the Y.
I did. I'm sorry.
I think there's a Y in oligarch in there.
No, there's not a Y in there. It's exactly how I spelled it. Yeah, and
He's
that's
Googling.
that's another that's crazy about this is the fact that every time one of these indictments came out was right after we had another indictments or additional information coming out about Hunter Biden. They were so perfectly timed that it wasn't even funny. So how was it spelled?
You're right. I was thinking of oligarchy. You're right.
Let me ARCHY.
I digress.
All right. I'm not as thinky as dumb I am, Chris.
I heard that side. He's like, dang it, Gary's right.
I know.
Hey.
I heard it too.
Joe Dingy joining in after the Sean Porter interview.
Awesome.
Thanks for showing up, brother.
Joe Dingy. He's my favorite kind of Joe. A dingy
I
one.
mean, it's dingy or dingy.
That
So-
reminds me of the first weekend we met, you watching Joe Dirt. Oh,
Yeah,
that was so funny.
it was so funny.
Don't make fun of Joe Dirt.
Joe Dirt is
That's
one of
my-
the greatest shows,
Okay.
greatest movies almost ever made.
That's my spirit animal.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Robin just won't let me cut my hair like
So again, folks, one thing, if you haven't commented down there, and by the way, folks, every person on this stream, do us a favor, hit like on the video,
sub
If it'll let you.
notifications,
Sub.
everything.
hit the notifications, do all those things. That helps us out. That helps us to overcome a little bit or help us to tie in a little bit into the basically helps us overcome or compensate for some of the suppression that we get. So it really does make a difference if you guys like, subscribe, comment. Makes a huge difference. What were you going to say?
Nothing.
Why were you tapping me? Was I moving my papers
Because
too
you
much?
just keep doing your papers.
I was looking to see if I had any other notes or anything. All right. It calms me when I'm nervous on here. Jesus,
What do you
Summer.
have to be nervous about?
I'm always nervous when I do live streams. This is really the only time I ever get nervous about anything.
You look handsome. Everybody loves you.
Oh, let's turn that off, Jackson, because thank you.
I just got back in. Rumble kicked me out. Jeff Hahn said TSA is already masking its employees too, by the way.
What?
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Because it's coming out.
Jackson, we're seeing what you see when we need to see that one, bud. Thank you. Love you.
UFO for the hose. I can't repeat your comments on here, but they were making me chuckle.
Obviously.
We missed you for the hose. Do we
He
have?
said Stormy Daniels' real
But
name.
you said you weren't going to say it.
Well, I'm not going to read it all, but Stormy Daniels is actually a CIA agent used during Desert Storm
Probably
to
would-
do stuff.
Probably wouldn't
Desert Storm.
surprise me.
No, Gary, I'm pointing at it. You got to read it.
Okay.
That's why I wasn't going to read it, but it's not credible.
It's not credible, or it is
No, credible.
we can agree to disagree. All right.
I mean, she doesn't look like a goat, so I don't know if they're in on that.
I wouldn't doubt if it came out that she was some sort of asset. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Do I think she was used for what is being alleged there? I don't think that
I
at
don't
all.
think so.
You
You got all kinds of new people. Whoever Daily Crypto Elise list. Glad you joined on Rumble. First time I've seen you on there, brother.
Yeah,
Or girlfriend.
yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that we were talking about prior to this, and I'm sure it's probably easy to do, we just never have, and I think it would actually be kind of fun, is to do some commentary during something like the. We're not going to do it tonight, but some commentary during a Republican debate. To actually just do some reaction as we go along with this.
So like have a one-off show during that time, not a Wednesday, but like a Thursday, Friday,
whatever happens,
Monday,
if it happens to
Saturday.
be on a Wednesday,
Whenever the debate is.
But if there's something, if there is a live event that's worth watching and worth commenting on, I think that would be kind of fun to do.
Yeah, have it like rolling in the bottom, or in us big, or it big and us small, or something like that.
It big, us small, probably. And then we could punch back and forth.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I would chain Jackson back there again, or we'd have Jay on there.
Oh no, we need him for his commentary.
Yeah, we would definitely need Jay for his commentary.
And
he'd like, at least she didn't say that.
Like, oh, he just said that he supports banning all firearms. I definitely want to vote for him.
Yeah, I'll definitely vote for him. Hi, my name is Jay.
Yeah.
I hate guns.
My name's Jay. I'm a Green Beret. I hate guns. Americans should own them. Jay, we miss you tonight, buddy. Hopefully you're watching.
Oddly enough, he said the Wagner Group leaders plane
Supposedly,
crashed today.
I saw that. Yeah,
10 people on board, and it just happened to be they crashed outside of St.
the
Petersburg,
Wagner Group,
and it just happened to be the CEO of the Wagner Group on board.
Yeah,
What's Wagner do for people out there that don't know?
They were the one who led the insurrection coup against Russia.
More importantly, what the Wagner Group has done historically is they were basically a militia, not really militia group, but a
kind of like our version, like their version of Blackwater.
Essentially, right? But they have been going all throughout Africa, parts of Southeast Asia, and stuff like that. But they were able to basically do a lot of things, and they're basically a strong arm section of the government that has worked directly with Russia to enforce a lot of different things that they either weren't able to do with their own military, or and they've had some autonomy as well. So
crazy enough, when I saw that headline, I thought back to there's 2 books I read about Russia, the political climate, the things they do, and all the craziness that goes on there. I'm trying to find the title real quick. One was called the Red Note. Anyway, I immediately was like, oh, that was a sabotage. That plane was sabotaged to kill that guy. And like, that is exactly the playbook they have there.
Or
it was just
he wanted to fake his death.
Or that.
Like the dudes in the submarine.
That's what I would do. Like again, the Wagner Group is what Russia used to pull off a lot of different operations.
Red Alert. What I'm talking about.
And anything that you think that Russia is capable of, the Wagner Group is absolutely capable of, and maybe even more capable of. So these are smart guys that are well funded in many different areas. They control many portions of Africa, and they are savages, folks. They don't mess around. When they go and they control an area, they control an area, and no one is going to oppose them, including Americans. Like I was just, I forgot where I was. Was it Liberia or another place? But just to the east of us, where I was a no-go zone, because that whole area was controlled by Wagner and all their affiliates. So, they are getting in there. They'll infiltrate an area. They'll control that area. And not even the U.S. government's going to oppose them.
Yeah. So the book I'm referring to is called Red Notice. And the follow-up to that is called Freezing Order. And it's a true life story. But it talks about a lot of that, about just how far the reach is.
Yeah.
I mean, every country in the world just infiltrate, like controlled, and people being murdered in other countries in the direction of Putin. And
I'll tell you who has a lot more control of Africa, Southeast Asia, and South America than we were and even Mexico and Central America than anybody realizes is China. Folks, China is everywhere. If you go to Africa, and I've been all over that thing, in almost every place I go, one of the controlling parties in that area in Africa is China over and over again. Folks, China has bought most of like Mexico City. I mean, what they even control in South America and things like that, it would blow people's minds if they knew how much control and how much interest they have. And they're going in there with lots of money, and they're buying up property, they're buying up real estate, they're buying up businesses left and right, and they're treating the people really well, and they're building roads and things like that. Now, what they tend to do too is they'll come in and they'll buy entire businesses or even skyscrapers like in Mexico City, and then they will fire everybody there, and then they're bringing in all their own workers, and those people are basically working as like slave labor. So you have Chinese people that are being forced to work by the Chinese government in different countries, but the Chinese are treating the politicians right. They're paving roads, they're building infrastructure. So they are winning the fight economically all over. And instead of using their military as the means of diplomacy like we have in the past, they're using an
Money.
economic carrot out there that is that they control
Dangle it.
way more than you think they do. And they're controlling all of the different minerals and ores in Africa. So
But do you think they've kind of stretched themselves too thin or
Maybe.
overplayed their hand a little bit with some of the financial stuff
Well,
that's
that's what I
coming to
was just gonna
light?
look at.
I haven't done a lot of research into
no,
it. I've
there's a lot
heard
of talk about that lately. In that, but number one, Xi Jinping has been controlling China, and he's done a really good job economically with China over the last 10 years. I almost think there's a real possibility that they're doing better off financially than they're letting on.
than they want people to believe.
And that's just like without even I don't think we're even considering all these other resources, or if when people are giving them some sort of rating or saying, hey, what is the economic stability of China? I don't even think that they're counting all these other resources and things like that. Look, folks, at the end of the day, if China suddenly said, you know what, we're not selling you cobalt anymore, we're not selling you these other minerals anymore, we're not doing this anymore, like we'd be screwed. Like they have a lot more power and influence than America wants to admit, and the Chinese actually let on.
We saw a peek behind the curtain of that when COVID hit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
And we didn't have things we needed.
We didn't have medical infrastructure.
Yeah.
We didn't have any of the stuff that, we were relying on the Chinese to send us the masks. They were the ones
and medicine
that were nice enough to provide the disease to begin with. Maybe in conjunction with
Fauci.
Yeah, old Fauci.
Well, he knows who he's talking about.
So, again, I think Russia's a threat. There's no doubt about it. But there's like I don't even think even me.
No, I wasn't.
I don't think we actually grasp at the actual economic threat that the Chinese really represent.
My point wasn't that Russia was a bigger threat than China. I was just in reading some of these books and stuff, I was not even really surprised, but it kind of confirmed what I kind of always thought, that they just have their hand everywhere.
Yeah, no.
And they have no problem at just doing the dirtiest, craziest, whatever it takes to get the control they want or get
no,
rid
100%.
Of,
They're manipulating currency. They're manipulating, resources worldwide. I almost think between the debt that we have and then China's actual ability right now, I wouldn't be surprised in reality
Go back up,
that
Jackson.
China is actually more powerful and more influential than America actually is. I think they may have already, I think it's very real possibility they may have already surpassed us as a superpower, not necessarily with just flat out military might. We obviously have more capabilities when it comes to planes, carriers, and those numbers. But
I think we have more citizens too.
In China?
Than China?
With guns, yes.
Well, maybe.
Maybe with
I mean, we definitely
we
definitely have more citizens with guns.
Correct.
Do I think literally that China could flip a switch tomorrow and arm every freaking person in those? We're talking about citizens that are so afraid of their own government, they will literally do everything, and they've been bred just like the North Koreans. They've been bred and manipulated, and the government is everything to them.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, they can hand out 10 million freaking firearms.
I know where
tomorrow.
your mind's going with this, Chris.
What are you thinking?
How many of them can hit a target?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, no, that's not where I thought your mind was.
Not
going.
really.
Yeah, it does.
No, not really.
Bring them through the woods.
I mean, honestly,
are they going to make it this far? No.
I mean,
I thought you were thinking
honestly,
something.
it's not that.
What were you
could-
thinking, Summer?
You can take 3 days to train a couple of billion freaking Chinese, and they'd be a very capable fighting force.
You know what would happen is we would have a
I mean,
lot
how
more.
many Americans that
would
actually
have-
own guns
well,
can
we would-
hit a target too?
That's probably not as big as numbers I'd like to think.
Yeah,
Because 90% of gun owners are or 90% of the guns are owned by 10% of the population. You know what I mean?
100%.
That's the problem.
But it-
I'll pass them out if it means saving our country.
Me too. Come get in my safe if you're going to help me
If you're gonna
protect.
fight. But here's what I was thinking as far as China, when you said, hey, yeah, they can flip a switch and arm all these people, and then you pointed out the fact that they've been manipulated and controlled and oppressed and all these things. You don't think that perhaps arming them, then they would have the
ability to
Ability
overthrow
to
the
say-
government?
Yeah.
Nope.
to be
Or
for
to
civil,
rebel?
to be civil
Nope.
war against themselves,
No.
or
Nope.
you think they're that dedicated and loyal
I think they've been conditioned.
and controlled
they're
and
conditioned.
fearful?
could they make it here without our
Let's
intervene in the ocean?
If you really understand, for instance, like they could make it here.
Enough
If you
of 'em?
really understand North Korea, you could literally drop guns to every single person in North Korea tomorrow, and they would not overthrow the
But I've
government.
listened to
Oh, well,
people,
that's a
interviews
little
with people that
different,
have
I think.
escaped North Korea, and they made it sound like their daily life was so horrible and
Mhm.
controlled that they tried and eventually succeeded, but everyone was trying to escape and get out. You don't think that
No.
handing them a firearm, arming
No,
all these
you're
oppressed
hearing
people?
it from a very small minority of people that have tried to escape and get out. Because if you've tried to escape and get out, you and 7 generations of your family end up in the gulag. Period. And people that you don't even know, like these people to this very day, believe that Kim Jong Un is a deity, and that's how they
Basically,
believe.
their savior.
They believe
It's
that.
because of his cool ass
So
haircut.
like, and communist China has not to that extent, but
Sure.
they have definitely exercised control, and they have beat all sort of I don't know,
Free thinking,
free
individualism.
thinking or individual, all that stuff has been so looked down upon for so long that there's no will left to fight in countries like that. There just isn't.
Your son is back there Googling how China's building up its gold
I see
reserves to make a gold-backed currency.
What
Well, I'm
questions?
just- I'm just
what
gonna-
questions
I'm-
we got on?
My first question was from a couple topics ago. Was, how did you fit in Liberia?
I blended in perfectly.
I
wasn't just in
I heard
Liberia.
you were just like, I was in Liberia. I was like,
What country
bro,
was it that
you
they,
stood out.
which country did you fly into that they immediately came after you in the airport and detained you?
That
time?
was Benin.
Benin, yeah.
But I just heard Liberia. I'm like, well, that's something I've heard of. And you are not of the correct tanness.
No, I'm not. But
You don't,
I'll
have
tell
enough,
you,
you don't have enough freckles to fill in for that one.
In Africa, I really didn't have really any major issues because of that.
Yeah.
I wasn't number one. I'm obviously a bigger guy than most. I wasn't exactly seen as a soft target, unlike my soft target here to the right, super soft.
Hey,
That's how Robin likes it, all cushy.
He's all
Right.
cushy.
Mhm. I'm trying to change that.
But with that being, I had no issues. I actually almost enjoyed every place I ever went to in Africa. The people were always nice and everything else. Now, the problem is one of the guys that I work with, he was born in, it's not Cameroon. He's a native African that started in Africa. He went to the United States, ended up in the military.
Was it
coming back.
Nigeria?
No,
Oh.
I'll think of it here in just a second. Anyways, when I was traveling with him, he's the one that would get harassed, and he was the one that would kind of put some attention on us because he's clearly African.
Why are you coming back?
And that's another thing too, folks. Is funny is number one, if you spend enough time in Africa, you can almost always see. If you see an African American and you see, someone that's actually from it's very different, but they see it even more. And there is a real almost contempt. It's been my experience that there's like a contempt in Africa for African Americans. And there's probably a couple of dozen reasons why that is. But it's just an interesting dynamic. But yeah, like I went to Benin, went to
Nigeria, you went to Liberia.
Yep.
There's another country you went to.
Liberia twice. I went to
Australia.
What was the
I
country
went to
that you
Australia.
ended up?
We're keeping it contained to the
Oh,
to the
alright.
Africa.
I thought you were just talking
continent.
about the world.
There was one country you were like, oh,
Cameroon.
we should move
I went to
there.
Cameroon.
What country was that? Country in Africa. You're like, oh, we should move there. And
Benin.
start a business.
Benin.
Was that Benin?
I liked you in Australia, but
No, not Benin. Not Benin. It was I'll think of it in a second.
I
It
liked
wasn't
you. I
Benin.
liked you in Australia because you're stuck in your hotel room.
The Gambia.
Yes, the
The
Gambia.
Gambia. The
That's
Gambia.
Is that the
folks,
name of the
is
country?
a great.
Mhm.
The Gambia.
It's called the Gambia.
Yeah.
What?
Folks? If you haven't been to the Gambia, you should.
I don't think anybody on here has been there.
Is a awesome place. You can go. People are the nicest people I've ever met anywhere.
Can we take our guns with us there?
You cannot take your guns there.
Well,
I know of.
I'm out. Their flags.
Yeah.
Their flags cool.
Pretty cool place. That was my favorite. That's my favorite place.
Also, they're on the Atlantic. Okay, I didn't know which side it was.
A lot of the African countries you went to were on the Atlantic coast.
Yeah, I was mainly on the West Coast for the most part.
It's officially
South
the
and West Coast.
Republic of the Gambia.
The Gambia. Yeah. Good place out there. What else we got? What other questions? Gripes, complaints about
Summer.
Chris or Summer?
Oh, you got included this time, Chris.
I mean,
Taking some.
Daryl
of the heat.
Kramer's the CEO. Wagner is also Putin's man. Yeah, but again,
YouTube up
Daryl, with that, there was a supposed falling out between those two when he attempted to. And again, folks, I kind of feel like that was staged. That whole attempted coup. I don't think that was even legitimate.
No?
But I could be. No, I don't. I think there was something. I can't figure out the point behind it or the strategy there, but I don't feel like that was real.
Just to make Putin look weak.
No, I think Putin was in on it. That's what I'm trying to say.
I know, but I'm saying a strategy.
It was
If he wasn't in on it.
Oh,
I mean, if anything, that made Putin look stronger because he crushed a supposed rebellion. But
Jeff Hahn had a good comment on Rumble.
what did he say?
He said what China is lacking is a Wagner group, but they'll be there soon.
Yeah, I think they
I like that one.
are so comfortable with their soft approach between espionage, between economic influence, between buying off Hunter Biden, also buying off Joe Bribin and Hunter Bribin. Those are my new names for them. Bribin.
And then Jeff has another comment too. Whenever you make,
I don't think they need. I think they've realized that that is a smarter, stealthier,
More palatable.
Correct.
and
yes,
and more effective approach, right? So no, they don't have that we know of. They could. They don't have a sort of something like a Wagner group or some trunk monkeys that they send out to do their do what they needed to do from a physical standpoint. But I have to think, it would be easy to throw some Shaolin monks together and go get pull out some karate and do some kung fu.
This is not
I would have went to ninja.
Well, ninja's Japanese. It's a Japanese
Close
thing.
enough.
You God,
I mean,
you're so
just go across the Indian Ocean and you're there. You know what I mean? Jeff Hahn said
first Muhammad and now
China will destroy.
ninjas.
Jeff Hahn says
his continent's all effed up.
it's okay. I know where West Virginia's at. China will destroy us financially and economically. Russia is a military threat.
Yeah, no, and I would
They're
almost
ruthless,
I like
too.
that. I like that. That's well put.
and it's
He's
not
right.
like Russia isn't doing an effective because folks, they're all over Africa as well. They're doing the exact same thing. I don't know what other places, but I actively know of and saw Russian forces, Russian influence taking place in Africa. But you go as far as the Chinese, they're everywhere in Africa. They own half that.
In the
continent.
books I read, freaking Russia had a lot of control and behind the scenes in Great Britain.
I wouldn't doubt that. The Brits are weak.
I mean, yeah, they're weak.
They're weak sauce. They still kneel to their crown. Melissa's. What else we got going on?
That's all I got on Rumble right now.
Well, folks, I think that is going to wrap it up. I would definitely recommend that all of you watch the
Need to put my full hat on
Republican
now.
debates tonight
Starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
or
Oh, is
8
it
p.m.
9?
Central.
It's 8:30.
But yeah, if you guys would be interested in us kind of talking through or live streaming a live event and having our reaction, us talk through it, I think that'd be kind of fun. You can put down whatever you want in the comments. We would definitely want to hear from you, but either I'm going to do it or I'm not going to, depending on how I feel about it. To be honest,
Well,
it'd be
that's
great.
not either way,
It'd be great if
We'd
you're
love
just
to hear
like,
your
but I think
opinion.
it'd be fun.
sitting like jammy pants and a t-shirt, just like sitting there, just reacting.
Say the Walmart of West Virginia up
Yeah.
in here.
and making fun of Chris Christie. Ooh, I would love that.
Oh my God.
Making fun of Chris
Just be
Christie,
like-
his fat
He's up
Krispy
there-
Kreme little
What
butt.
What is
Yeah.
he saying?
He's
Yeah.
up there preaching about Trump, and it's like you can't
Who else?
control what you put
I
in
wish we
your
were talking
mouth,
about that dude in Pennsylvania that looks like
Mike Pence.
Shrek.
Mike Pence needs to freaking just go away. Like I
Yeah.
cannot stand him anymore. He's a guy that I used to really, really like, but he is just too much.
I respected him for
He
multiple
should,
reasons, like morally and things like that. But
Sure.
I what I've heard from him lately, I'm just like, dude, you sound dumb. Go
Yeah.
away.
That would be fun.
We have a very weak field of candidates on the Republican side, and really, no one's going to outshine Trump. That's just reality of it.
We should find another woman too to watch, so it wouldn't be so male biased.
What's that?
I'm all that is needed.
Well, first of all, I don't need two opinions that I don't value
I
here.
knew that was.
Jeez.
I knew
I'm
that
glad,
was
I,
coming.
I'm glad I ain't
Like,
got to
what
sleep
you
in
need
this,
two women's
this house
opinions for?
tonight. I'm going home to my house because I value my woman's opinion. Girl, Robin, I'll be home in a minute.
You got to say that because it's live. I get it. I get it.
No, she knows.
No, Summer
Robin
knows I
don't
value
have
her.
to-
That's why I can joke with her like
Love
that.
you, babe.
I rarely even need to beat her anymore.
I know it's
really,
amazing.
It's
Well, I mean, at least you're
conditioning
within the law now, so that's amazing. You know what? You've graduated. That's awesome. You can possess a firearm now, Gary.
oh, that's absolutely true. All right,
This took a turn for
hey
the worse.
folks, we listen.
For the record, I'm not abused.
This
I
No.
make sure my opinion is valued because I'll beat him with it until he values it.
Let me tell you something. If I ever laid my hand on her, she'd probably just wait till I was asleep and shoot me or kill me. Yeah, she is no,
I'm no pushover.
she's not.
she's no Georgia peach.
She's not.
I am, but I'm not a pushover.
I don't know.
All right, shut your mouth.
She's got a worm crawling through her.
Oh,
That'll do some damage.
Is that a compliment toward me? Or what?
What
No,
is in the
it's a compliment towards her.
Oh,
She's
no,
a
it's-
Georgia peach with a worm going through
just
her.
stop. Just stop. It's getting so weird. I don't know how to reply to it. All right, folks. Listen, we really appreciate you guys coming out, and we really appreciate you showing up and giving us support and having fun with us, right?
Yeah.
We got some great other topics coming up. I have some potential guests that we were going to have on pretty soon. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it.
Maybe you'll value their opinions.
Maybe you will value their opinions as well, just like we do Summers all the time.
They might have to take my seat. I'm not getting in the middle
Jackson,
of
you're
this
giving me. You're going to make me
I'm
go
getting
into a
agita.
stroke
I'm getting
here, dude.
agita.
Just stop. Just leave it right. Just leave it right there. We're flipping and flapping back and forth screens. I don't know what's going on.
Easy, Jackson.
We're flapping back and forth.
Anyways,
End it.
yeah. All right, folks. We really appreciate you coming out. Again, like, subscribe, throw a comment down below. Make sure you go watch all of our shows, all our videos, both on Rumble, both on YouTube. Stop watching YouTube. They're no friend of, I don't know, good Americans. Go watch.
Go join them on Rumble.
We still want you to like us, subscribe, and share our content on YouTube so we can continue to evangelize and bring people over. But yeah. So anyways, thanks for coming out. But until next time, stay armed, stay ready. We'll talk to you soon.